Hi, I'm Kat and it is my 25th birthday, so in celebration of that, I am sharing my top 25 pieces of media of all time. So I've broken this down into 5 subcategories and I've chosen my top 5 from those 5 categories, and there is a lot to get through, so let's get into it. First up, we are going with my top 5 favorite movies of all time. So these are the movies here. Yes, I do have the DVDs of all of them because this is how I originally consumed this media. So first up is my favorite movie of all time, and that is Bring It On. This was released in 2000, but I first saw it in 2003. I was in grade 3 and my friends and I were obsessed. I used to watch it with subtitles to learn all of the dialogue, and I can play this movie in my head now. I don't even need to turn it on. In primary school, my friends and I used to play Bring It On at recess and lunch. We split ourselves into the Toros and the Clovers. I was the captain of the Clovers and I just really wanted to be a cheerleader. Still kind of do, but to this day, I cannot do a cartwheel, so I don't think that's gonna happen. Number 2 is Mean Girls. This is another one my friends and I were obsessed with, and another one that I can quote endlessly. I just love the whole thing. It's very enjoyable and it's widely popular, so like when you like quote something from it or like mention something about it, like everyone already knows what you're talking about. Like you say, on Wednesdays we wear pink, and everyone already knows what you're talking about. And it just comments on high school culture in a very entertaining way. Number 3 is She's the Man. Amanda Bynes is one of the actresses I grew up on, and I love her and I love this movie. It's hilarious and entertaining and everyone should go watch it if they haven't already. I've actually watched it more times with the cast commentary on than I have without. It's my favorite cast commentary ever. Almost the entire cast is there and they joke with each other and just have a good time, so you have a good time. Number 4 is Clueless. I didn't watch this one when it first came out, obviously because it's my 25th birthday and this movie is 25 years old. I first watched it when I was maybe 18. My mom just owned all these DVDs of the movies she liked and I started watching through them. So I watched Clueless, and this is actually that DVD. I took it from my mom's house when I moved out because I loved it so much. I actually don't know if she ever noticed if it's missing. I love the story, I love Cher, I love Dion, and I just love the whole aesthetic. And rounding out my top 5 favorite movies is The Princess Diaries 2. Yes, that's right, not 1, but 2. Nicholas Devereaux. Long may Queen Mia reign. That whole speech at her wedding about how she's ready to rule her country without a husband. Yes. The first movie is good, but this one is better. So now we're moving on to my top 5 favorite TV shows of all time. So my all-time favorite TV show is Charmed. Yeah, we're also going into the DVDs of these things as well. Like, there's 3 different cases here for the DVDs. That's how you know it's getting a bit old school. So I grew up on Charmed. It was something my mum watched. The first episode I ever saw was the season 4 episode Bite Me. It was about vampires. So a little insight into how I got where I am today. I think I was 7, but then I didn't start watching like weekly until the end of season 5 was airing in Australia. I was like 8 and me and my friends all watched it on TV each week. And I remember analyzing the season 5 finale in class with my friends. And at recess and lunch, we used to play Charmed. I was always Piper until one of the other girls wanted to be Piper, and then I ended up being Paige. The show ended when I was in like grade 6 or 7 or something like that, or at least it finished airing in Australia. I can't actually guarantee that was when it actually ended because Australian TV gets things so late. But by the time we got to like the early high school years, one friend and I used to just spend hours on the phone quizzing each other on Charmed trivia. Charmed is just a huge part of my DNA. I've rewatched it hundreds of times. You could show me 2 seconds of an episode and then I would be like, yep, it's this episode, this is what it's called, and this is what seasons it's from. I've also met some of the actors and I got to tell Holly Marie Combs about how much Piper meant to me. And I've also had like a little chat with Brian Krause about the logistics of sleeping on the couch in the photo booth. And then my second favorite TV show of all time is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I did not grow up on Buffy. My mum didn't like it. Well, she didn't watch it, so it's not something that was ever on my radar, but I first watched it when I was in year 12. And after I watched it, I became instantly obsessed. Team Spike. I've also met James Masters multiple times. Buffy is one of those shows that I watched and then just immediately fell down the Buffy Tumblr hole, and then I watched Angel, and then I started reading the comics, and then I stopped reading the comics because those things are wild. But I just love shows about kick-ass female demon hunters. And my third favorite TV show of all time is The OC. I started watching this one as the end of season 2 was airing in Australia, and then really got into it when season 3 was airing. So I was maybe like 11 to 13 when I first watched this, and I was probably just a little too young for that. But I loved it. It's just trashy teen TV, and we wouldn't have Gossip Girl if we didn't have this one. Summer is my favorite. I never liked Marissa, so I did not cry when she died, but I definitely bawled my eyes out when the finale aired. And these past 3 TV shows are like the TV shows I go to if I recognize an actor in something else. I'm always like, okay, they've been in Buffy or Charmed or The OC. And sometimes it's all 3. So I actually haven't rewatched this one in years because I'm actually a little terrified too, because last year a whole bunch of people were rewatching it and they were all Seth girls as well. I am a Seth girl. And they were like, oh, I don't actually really like Seth anymore. And I was like, oh no, do I just not rewatch ever again then? Okay, so the last 2 favorite TV shows I had to think about because they're the ones that like change often. Like the other 3 that they're set in there, but these are the last 2 that are my most favorites like now. So next up we have Smash. Like, justice for Smash. This only got 2 seasons and it deserved so many more. This is a fictional show about the creation of a Broadway musical and just like all the behind the scenes stuff and all the drama that happens between cast and crew and everything. And there was at least 1 new musical number every episode, and they like pretty much wrote 2 entire musicals just for the TV show. All of the actors are actual Broadway actors, and they just put so much effort into this show, and it looks so good, and it just deserved to be so much more well known. Though now it's actually becoming a Broadway musical, which I'm a little confused by, because wouldn't you just turn the musicals in the show into actual musicals? Because I would go see Bombshell. And my 5th favorite TV show I don't actually own the DVDs of, but that is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I really had to think about this one, but I'm just emotionally invested in this show, and it's in its final season. This is my favorite piece of media from the MCU, followed by Agent Carter, which also deserved more seasons, followed by Captain Marvel. Yeah, I know, I'm the Captain Marvel girl, but 2 pieces of MCU media come first. The show has been many things, and they've always just had to adapt to what the movies are doing. And I'm also one of those rare people that actually kind of prefers the earlier seasons to the later seasons. But like legit, the show has just always been cleaning up the movie messes. Sometimes literally, there's this episode in season 1 where they go to London and they're cleaning up this mess, and they're like, oh, who made this mess? Oh, Thor. Because the episode takes place right after Thor: The Dark World. But then like they really had to adapt at the end of season 1 because it's this brand new TV show called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. But then the Captain America, the Winter Soldier, comes along and is like, yeah, so we're destroying S.H.I.E.L.D. now. And the show was like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks for that. But I love the cast and I love the characters, and I would very much like to be a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and Skyward forever. Okay, now we're actually getting into books. I'm also including series as like 1 book on the list. But my most favorite book ever is, of course, Vampire Academy. Was anyone surprised this was on the list? VA is one of those series that I started reading after I read Twilight and was just falling headfirst into, well, this. It's my all-time favorite series. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but why does that even matter? I love the characters and I love the story, and I love the friends that I've made because of this series. I actually have a whole video about why this is so important to me, but essentially it's the reason why I'm making this video right now. My second favorite series is the Throne of Glass series. I am Sarah J. Maas trash. It's just as simple as that. I just love everything she writes. I would also love to be Aelin. I am deeply emotionally invested in these characters, and I just went on the roller coaster of emotional rides through this series. Number 3 is the Shadowhunters Chronicles. I am counting all of them as one series because they all exist in the same universe. I first read the Mortal Instruments trilogy back when I read Vampire Academy for the first time. It took me a little while to get into this first book, but after that I was just headfirst into it, and I clearly haven't stopped reading since. Number 4 is my OG, and that is Twilight. It's the reason I read Vampire Academy and The Mortal Instruments. It's very nostalgic, and I reread the first book at the beginning of the year, and it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be after everyone was like continually bagging it out. But Twilight is just one of those things that it's popular to hate on because teenage girls love it, and of course, why would anything teenage girls love have any value? But Bella was one of the first characters that I related to, and I just still love this series. And number 5 is a more recent read, and that is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. And it's also the only contemporary on this list. It's a very polarizing book, like there's people out there who just love to hate it. But I loved it, and I related to Shane so much, which is the biggest reason why I loved this book. I just felt all of the emotions because of that, and the story was also just cute and fun as well. Okay, so this next lot of 5 favorite things is actually my favorite YouTube channels. So I'm not picking out like certain videos from them, I'm just counting the YouTube channel as a whole as a piece of media. So first up is the Hillywood Show. Here is my Hillywood beanie. And I also own a piece of Supernatural parody merch. So I first found them when they uploaded their Twilight parody, and then I went back and watched all of their original Hillywood Show episodes, and then I've just watched every single video since for over the past decade. So if you haven't seen their videos, they do parodies, and if you go back and watch their original videos and compare them to what they do now, they have grown so much. I've always loved their parodies. Like, I was awed by the production value in their OG videos, so I'm like blown away now. And they just were part of the reason that I also started a YouTube channel, like because I want to do booktube, but I also like want to make videos like theirs. And I actually got to meet them at a convention last year, and it was the only reason that I went to that convention. It was a Supernatural convention, and by that time I had like worked through like my starstruckness and my fangirl tendencies while meeting celebrities. Like, I've met Stan Lee, I worked as a PA for Shelley Henning for a weekend, I've stood in a hallway full of celebrities, one of which was Millie Bobby Brown. So like, I've grown so much that meeting celebrities I'm usually fine. But when it was announced that Hillywood was coming to Melbourne, I straight up cried. Like, I had been dying to meet them for a decade, and I was finally getting that chance. So I bought a one-day ticket to the convention, and I had calmed down by the time the convention had come around. I thought I was going to be totally chill. And it was the day of it, and I was sitting in there, and the convention people were like, yeah, it's going to be a while before the panels start, so you can just walk around, look at the booths. One of them, which was the Hillywood Show booth. So, you know, I went upstairs to go meet them. The closer I got, the more nervous I was getting, and I got to the top of the escalator and I saw them, and I just started freaking out. Like, I just couldn't. I haven't been starstruck in years. But the second I saw them, I had to hide behind a corner and like calm my heart rate and like work myself up to go say hello to them. I've been lucky enough to meet so many celebrities by now, but I was starstruck by these YouTubers. But then I worked myself up to go up to their booth, and I got to meet them, and they're so sweet and amazing, and I really want to be friends with them. And like, we got to have this chat, and I think we would be really good friends because the chat like started with like of the stuff about what I had first seen them within, but then we moved on to like YouTube and how all of that like worked and stuff. But I'm always very aware of how much time I am taking with a celebrity because like, I've worked the other side of it. I know that a lot of the time celebrities don't want to spend too much time with a person, and there's like schedules and stuff, so I'm just always highly aware of that, and if there's people behind me. So I didn't stay there as long as I wanted to, but you know, if we actually became friends, we'd be able to sit down and have like a full-on chat, and I think it would be great. Okay, my second favorite YouTube channel is Christine Riccio's Poland Bananas Books /20/board/XX. I think that's all of hers. Get to hold up her book again. She's on this list because she's the first ever booktuber I came across. She was my introduction to this world, and she gets to be on this all-time favorite 25 list twice. We both love books, we're both fangirls, we both have creative degrees and have aspirations to work in creative fields. So I think we would be good friends in real life. So Christine, if you ever want to collab, I'm down. My third favorite YouTube channel is Lily Singh / Superwoman II. She was one of the first YouTubers I started watching religiously, and I've actually got to meet her. This is my meet and greet pass. I just love her as a human, and her content is always hilarious. And I went to her A Trip to Unicorn Island live show in the Australian tour on her Adelaide stop. So if you actually watch her documentary on YouTube Premium or watch her vlog from that day, you can see me. My fourth favorite YouTube channel of all time is the Vlogbrothers. So more OGs, they essentially helped build YouTube. Like VidCon would not exist without them. They're good guys and they have educational content, and I really liked Tifios, and I'm sure I'm going to love An Absolutely Remarkable Thing when I get around to reading it. And this copy is actually Hanklerfished as well, which is exciting. And my last one for my favorite YouTube channels, I'm actually cheating a little for, but it's my video, so I can do whatever I want. And that is just BookTube overall. BookTube overall is just my favorite side of YouTube. But to be clear, the nice side of BookTube, like if you're a terrible person or only here for drama, I will not be watching you. I love the fun, book-loving, creative side of BookTube. And that shout out to Christine about her wanting to collab, that goes for any BookTuber. Like if you want to collab with me, just message me and I will be down for it. Like just message me on any of my socials, but probably preferably Twitter, because no matter what I do, I cannot get Instagram to send notifications to my phone. Okay, 20 down, and my last set of top 5 favorite pieces of media is live shows. So of course I can only go with what I have seen. So these are my top 5 of what I have seen. So my favorite musical of all time is Six. Like, need I say more? I discovered Six because of Hannah from Snow White Reader, so thank you, Hannah. It's my all-time favorite musical now. It is about the 6 wives of Henry VIII. They get together to form a pop group, and they decide who gets to be the leader by who has had the worst experience. It's amazing. Go listen to it, and when live shows start up again, go see it. The Australian tour was meant to be this year, so I was lucky enough to go see it in Sydney right at the beginning of the year. And to all those people who were like, why are you gonna go see it in Sydney? You could just wait for it to come to Melbourne. Well, this is why. Like, what Melbourne show now, huh? So moral of the story is, if you want to go see a show in a different state, go see it, because you never know when a global pandemic is going to happen. And when I saw this, I stood outside the stage door of the Sydney Opera House for 2 hours and I got to meet the queens. So next up is one that I was debating about whether or not to put on this list, but I have decided to go with it because I don't associate it with the original author, and that is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's been controversial since it was released, and I would say probably even more controversial now, but let's just remember that JK did not write this. I'm not choosing it because it's Harry Potter or for the storyline at all. I am choosing it for the production value and the cast. The story doesn't work too well in script form, but as soon as you see it live, you're like, yes, that is so good. The cast and crew put so much work into it, and even if you don't like Harry Potter, you'll still get something out of it. The cast was amazing, and we got to meet them afterwards, and William McKenna, who played Scorpius, is a fucking sweetheart. Number 3, I don't actually have my program with me because it's back in Adelaide, but that is Aladdin. I got to see this one in Sydney years ago, and I was just amazed by the production itself. Like, it's just gorgeous. And the genie big number goes for like 8 minutes, and it's non-stop, and there's costume changes, and I just sat there and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And we also got to see it with the Genie, the Aladdin, and the Jasmine. That has also been on Broadway. Number 4 is Come From Away. I was a little skeptical of this one before I saw it because it didn't seem like it was going to be something I was interested in. It's about this place called Newfoundland, which is in Canada, and it's a very like small town. And it's the place where a lot of planes were diverted on 9/11 because the American airspace was closed. So thousands of people were stuck in this town for 5 days. They essentially doubled the population in like a day. But the people of the town came together and they helped support these people and feed them and clothe them and help them contact their families. I hadn't intended to go see this one, but then everyone who did see it just raved about it, and then Kate suggested we go see it, so we did. And it was amazing. I also kind of don't know why they bothered with most of their marketing budget, because word of mouth was like the way that most people heard about this musical. But yeah, it was amazing, and it was a small cast, and they all played at least 2 characters each, but like in the same scene. And they signified their character change by like putting on a hat or changing jackets, and the cast just did that flawlessly. Like they just switched between the characters, and like the people on stage also moved the pieces of furniture around to make the new sets, and you just see all of that happen, and they do it so well. The music is also amazing, and the band got to be involved in some of the scenes, and at the end they also like get the audience involved. And it's just so good that the Melbourne run got extended for months. and then after shows are allowed to come back, it's coming back again. Okay, so the last piece of media I actually haven't seen in person yet, but that's because it's taken them like almost a decade to give us an Australian show, but that is Hamilton. Like, it's obvious why it's on here. It's finally coming to Sydney next year and I'm so ready to see it. So I haven't seen it in person, but I have listened to the soundtrack hundreds of times, and I'm just gonna say it, I've watched a bootleg. But guess what? It's not gonna stop me from watching it on Disney Plus when they finally release it. Like, that took years, and then it's not gonna stop me from going and flying to a different state to see it again. They did not lose any money from me watching that bootleg. In fact, they're probably gaining some. But yeah, Hamilton is on this list and it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, there you go. There is my top 25 favorite pieces of media of all time in celebration of my 25th birthday. If you want to give me a gift for my birthday, you can press that subscribe button and then maybe go donate to a charity of your choice. So comment down below if any of these things are your favorite things as well, and then if we're not already friends, we can be friends. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more of my videos.